The great hall of the Galactic Council was filled with noise. Thousands of alien beings from different worlds sat in their seats, making sounds in their own languages. Some clicked, some hummed, and some made sounds that humans could not even describe. In the middle of all this chaos sat Amanda Price, the human representative. She looked calm, even though hundreds of eyes were staring at her. Amanda wore a simple blue uniform. Her dark hair was tied back, and her face showed no emotion. Next to her sat Marcus Webb, a soldier from Earth's military. He wore his green uniform and sat very still, but his jaw was tight. He did not like waiting. Standing at the front was Ambassador Vrex, a tall creature that looked like a giant praying mantis. His shell was green and shiny, and he had 4 arms. He waved one of his arms at the human section of the hall and made a sound like clicking mixed with hissing. The computer in front of Amanda translated his words. "The human request is foolish," Vrex said. His voice came through the speakers around the room. "They want to build combat training centers on our space stations, but humans are new here. They have only been in space for a short time. They do not have the natural abilities needed for fighting." Laughter filled the hall. Many aliens found this funny. The Kelrath, who looked like large octopuses with blue skin, slapped their arms on their desks. Even the crystalline beings, who usually stayed quiet, seemed to shake with what might have been laughter. Amanda took a slow breath. She had expected this. "Ambassador Vrex," she said clearly, "I can promise you that humans are very capable of—" "Capable?" Vrex cut her off. His mandibles clicked rapidly, which was how his species laughed. "You come from a garden world. Your planet has low gravity. One climate controls most of your land. You have no real predators. Our computers say your Earth is a paradise planet." More laughter echoed through the hall. Marcus shifted in his seat. His hands formed fists, but he kept them under the desk where no one could see. He wanted to say something, but this was Amanda's job. A large Kelrath stood up. The translator made his gurgling speech into words everyone could understand. "Perhaps the humans need to study real Deathworld species. Those who come from dangerous planets know what true danger means." A hologram appeared in the center of the room, floating in the air above everyone's heads. It showed a chart with different colored dots. Green dots were safe planets. Yellow dots were medium danger. Orange dots were hard to live on. Red dots were Deathworlds, places so dangerous that most species could not survive there. "Your Earth," Vrex said, using his arm to point at the hologram, "is classified as a—" He stopped talking. His large eyes got even bigger. The hall became silent. Every creature stopped making noise. The hologram showed Earth's information, but something was wrong. The planet was not glowing green like a paradise world. Instead, it pulsed with deep red light, darker and brighter than any other red dot on the chart. Next to Earth's image were words that made several aliens gasp. The words said, "Deathworld, Class 12. Warning, extreme danger. Recommend quarantine." "That must be an error," Vrex said, but his voice was quieter now. "Class 12? That is impossible. Only 3 planets in all known space have that rating." Amanda stood up slowly. When she raised her hand, something strange happened. Every alien in the room became completely still. They could not explain why, but that simple movement made them feel like they should be quiet and pay attention. It was the gesture of something dangerous, something that sat at the top of the food chain. "Would you like me to explain why Earth has that classification?" Amanda asked. Her voice was soft but somehow filled the entire hall. "Or do you want to keep laughing?" The silence continued. No one made a sound. No one moved. They all waited to hear what she would say next. Marcus stood up beside her. Together, the 2 humans looked at the council. They did not look angry or upset. They looked patient, like teachers about to give a lesson that would change everything. The hologram still showed Earth, spinning slowly, glowing red like a warning light. Around the hall, aliens who had been laughing moments before now sat very still. Some had moved back in their seats. Others had activated their breathing equipment, as if they suddenly felt they needed protection. Amanda walked toward the center of the hall. Her steps were smooth and confident. She moved like someone who knew exactly what she was doing, someone who had never doubted her place in the world. The aliens watched her move and felt something old and deep in their minds, something their ancestors had felt when they were prey animals long ago. "Computer," Amanda said to the AI that ran the council systems, "please show Earth's atmosphere composition." The hologram changed. Now it showed a list of gases that made up Earth's air. Several aliens made sounds of shock. Vrex's shell, actually, became a lighter shade of green, which meant he was scared. 21% oxygen, Amanda said, speaking like she was just talking about the weather. For those who do not know chemistry, that much oxygen is poisonous to most species. It is corrosive. It reacts with everything. Billions of years. Ago on Earth, this oxygen killed most of the life on our planet. We call it the Great Oxidation Event. She paused and looked around the room. Every time we breathe, we take in something that is slightly toxic. Our bodies have just learned how to handle what is basically a slow poison. A crystalline being made a sound like bells ringing, the translator said. But this must be exaggerated. Many atmospheres have oxygen in them. At 3 to 7%, yes, Marcus said, standing next to Amanda. Earth's oxygen level would kill most of you in hours. The damage to your cells alone would destroy you from the inside. Amanda nodded. Computer, show Earth's gravity measurement. 9.8 meters per second squared. The computer's voice answered. Class 7, like you said, Amanda told Vrex. But you forgot to mention that Class 7 is the highest level where species can build civilizations. Most of you evolved on Class 4 or 5 worlds. Our children grow up lifting more weight than your adults can carry. She walked slowly around the center of the hall. As she passed different sections, aliens leaned away from her without thinking about it. Computer, show tectonic activity, she said. The hologram showed Earth's surface. The ground was broken into huge pieces that moved and crashed into each other. Our planet's outer layer is cracked into massive sections that never stop moving. This creates volcanoes, earthquakes, and giant waves. We have over 450 active volcanoes just in one region. Show weather patterns, Amanda commanded. The image changed to show huge spinning storms, tornadoes, and lightning. Our air is always in violent motion. We have storms with winds over 300 kilometers per hour. We have lightning strikes with 1 billion volts of electricity happening 100 times every second across the planet. A Kelrath's tentacles had gone completely stiff. This must be rare events, yes? These are normal conditions, Amanda said flatly. Computer, show Earth's biodiversity threat assessment. What appeared next made several aliens actually leave their seats and back away. The hologram began showing images of tiny bacteria, insects, plants, fungi, reptiles, mammals, and sea creatures. The images cycled faster and faster. Earth has approximately 8.7 million species, Amanda continued. Many of them can kill humans. We have parasites that eat us from inside our bodies. We have insects whose poison causes paralysis and dissolves our organs. We have plants that produce toxins that can kill with an amount smaller than a grain of sand. Marcus took over the explanation. We have predators, ambush hunters that weigh 300 kilograms and can run 60 kilometers per hour in just seconds. We have pack hunters with so much endurance they chase their prey for days until it falls down dead from exhaustion. We have ocean predators that have not changed in 400 million years because they are already perfect at killing. And those are just the big threats, Amanda added. Our world is full of diseases, viruses that change in days, bacteria that become immune to medicine, things called prions that eat holes in our brains. We live in a constant war with biology. She came back to the center. Computer, show human baseline specifications. The hologram showed a rotating image of a human body with information streaming beside it. Humans can survive temperatures from -40 to +50 degrees Celsius. We can heal from wounds that would kill most species. We can chase prey until it dies from being too tired. We have eyes that see depth very well. We have thumbs that let us make tools and weapons. We also have something most species do not have, Marcus said. When we are in danger, our bodies release chemicals that make us stronger, block pain, focus our minds, and speed up our reactions. We call it fight or flight. It lets humans do things that should not be physically possible. Amanda turned to look directly at Ambassador Vrex. Your species evolved on a world with 0.6 standard gravity, 12% oxygen, and temperature changes of only 5 degrees. You have no major predators, no ground movement, and no extreme weather. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You called Earth a paradise world. You were wrong. Earth is hell with pretty scenery, and we are the things that lived through it. The hall remained completely silent. No one laughed now. The Galactic Council hall stayed quiet for a long time. Amanda could hear the breathing systems of different species, the hum of computers, but no voices. Everyone was thinking about what they had just learned. Earth was not a paradise. It was one of the most dangerous planets in known space. A small crystalline being finally made a sound like wind chimes. This information must be checked. The classification system has been used for 3,000 years. How could there be such a large mistake? It was not a mistake, Amanda answered. It was an assumption. Your survey teams came to Earth during a time we call the Holocene Optimum. It was a period when our climate was very stable, more calm than usual. They saw our cities. They saw our farms. They thought we had tamed our world. Marcus pulled up new images on the hologram. Your teams never visited during hurricane season. They never saw a tsunami. They never watched a volcano erupt or felt a major earthquake. They definitely never saw what happens when Earth's large animals decide to remind us that we are not as powerful as we think. Large animals? Asked Akelrath, moving his tentacles nervously. Computer, show comparison. Adult male human versus adult male African elephant. The hologram displayed the two figures side by side. The elephant was 8 times bigger than the human. 6,000 kilograms of muscle and ivory, Marcus said. They can pull trees out of the ground. They can crush vehicles. They have been known to track down humans who hurt them and take revenge. They remember every wrong done to them and they mourn when their family members die. Now show. Saltwater crocodile. A long reptile appeared in the hologram. It looked like something from prehistoric times. 7 meters long, 1,000 kilograms, bite force of 16,000 newtons. They can hold their breath for over an hour. They can wait without moving for days until prey comes close. When they attack, they succeed 90% of the time. They have existed with almost no changes for 80 million years. Amanda moved closer to the aliens who had been most skeptical. Computer show box jellyfish. A beautiful see-through creature appeared. It looked delicate and harmless, almost invisible in water, Amanda said quietly. Tentacles up to 3 meters long covered in millions of tiny harpoons that inject poison. Death comes in minutes. The pain is so bad that victims often go into shock and drown before the poison even finishes killing them. She turned to face all the assembled aliens. Should I continue? Do you want to hear about the Sydney funnel web spider, whose poison can kill in 15 minutes? The poison dart frog, whose skin produces a toxin where 20 micrograms kills an adult human? The inland taipan snake, whose one bite contains enough poison to kill 100 adult humans? Stop! Ambassador Vrex's voice cracked through his translator. Even if your world is dangerous, this does not prove humans are good fighters. Living through danger is not the same as being able to fight. Amanda's expression became hard. You are right. Let me tell you about our history instead. Computer, show human conflict timeline. What appeared made several aliens reach for their emergency breathing equipment. The hologram showed thousands of years of human history, with wars marked in red. In the recent centuries, the wars were so many that they formed an almost solid red wall. In the last 3,000 years, Marcus said, his voice taking on the tone of a military officer, humanity has been completely at peace for 268 years total. That is less than 9% of our recorded history. We have spent the rest of that time killing each other. We fought wars with swords and spears and arrows, Amanda continued. We fought with gunpowder weapons. We fought with chemical weapons, biological weapons, and nuclear weapons. We created the atomic bomb. A weapon that could destroy entire cities, and we used it. We used it twice. The display changed to show weapons. We created napalm, which burns at 1,000 degrees Celsius and sticks to everything, including skin. We created nerve agents that kill in seconds by making every muscle in the body contract at once. We created cluster bombs, landmines, and white phosphorus. Marcus gestured at the timeline. We have fought wars in deserts where the temperature goes over 50 degrees. We have fought in Arctic cold at -40 degrees. We have fought in jungles, on mountains, in swamps, and in cities. We have fought on land, in the air, on the ocean, and under the ocean. We have also, Amanda said more quietly, created rules for war, the Geneva Conventions, treaties that ban certain weapons, rules about how to fight. We did this because we realized our own ability to hurt each other had become so extreme that we needed to control ourselves. She pulled up a new image. It showed a young man in military uniform. This is Private Jake Morrison. He was 22 years old when his unit was attacked. He was shot 3 times, once in the leg, once in the shoulder, and once in the chest. The chest wound collapsed his lung. Medical information scrolled past on the hologram as the aliens watched. He kept fighting for 17 minutes. He covered his squad with gunfire so they could move to safety. He dragged 2 wounded soldiers to a protected area. He gave them first aid while calling for a rescue helicopter. He only passed out when the helicopter arrived. He lived, Marcus added. He was back on active duty within 1 year. Amanda looked directly at Ambassador Vrex. You asked if surviving is the same as fighting. For humans, the answer is yes. Because on Earth, everything tries to kill you. The planet itself, the animals, the diseases, the weather. And when we are not fighting those things, we fight each other. We have spent 10,000 years becoming perfect at warfare because that was the only way we survived long enough to reach space. She pointed at the proposal for the combat training facility that was still shown on a side screen. When we ask to build training centers, we are not asking you to teach us how to fight. We are offering to teach you what we learned from surviving Earth. The question is, are you willing to learn from a Deathworld species? The chamber filled with noise again as aliens began arguing with each other. Some thought humans were too dangerous. Others thought humans could teach them valuable skills. The debate grew louder and louder. Rex raised all 4 of his arms. Silence! He commanded. The hall became quiet again. The humans make bold claims. The data suggests their world is indeed extremely dangerous. But claims and data are not the same as proof. I propose a practical test. Several aliens made sounds of agreement. Vrex's shell had returned to its normal color. He seemed more confident now. Let the humans demonstrate their abilities in the Council's training arena. If they perform as they claim, we will reconsider their proposal. But if they fail, we will know their words were empty. Amanda looked at Marcus. His face showed nothing, but she could see the slight tension in his shoulders. This test could go wrong in many ways. If humans performed too well, they might hurt the alien warriors and create a political problem. If they performed poorly, they would lose all credibility. What kind of test? Amanda asked carefully. The standard combat evaluation, the Kelrath Prime speaker said. You will face trained warriors from 3 different species in simulated combat. We will use non-lethal weapons, of course. Full safety rules will be in place. If your claims about adrenaline and Deathworld conditioning are true, this should be easy for you. Amanda understood the trap. Either humans would fail and lose respect, or they would succeed and potentially injure important alien delegates. But refusing the test would be worse than either outcome. Agreed, she said. But I have one condition. If we succeed, you approve the combat training facility immediately with no more debate. If we fail, we withdraw the proposal for 5 years and do not bring it up again. The crystalline beings chimed their agreement. That is acceptable. The test will happen in 1 standard hour. Choose your representative. Marcus stood up. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, Earth Defense Force, Special Operations Division. I will represent humanity. The aliens began talking among themselves again. Some seemed excited. Others seemed worried. A few looked at Marcus with what might have been pity. He was not wearing armor. He did not have obvious weapons. He looked like just a normal human in a uniform. Amanda leaned close to Marcus. Are you sure about this? He nodded once. We did not come here to hide what we are. Time to show them. 58 minutes later, Amanda stood in the observation area above the training ground. The training space was large and designed to accommodate different species. There were water areas for aquatic aliens, low-gravity zones for species from small planets, and high-temperature sections for heat-loving beings. For this test, they had chosen a neutral zone with normal gravity and atmosphere. The terrain looked like a city with buildings, levels, and obstacles. Marcus stood in the starting area. He wore light tactical gear. No armor, no helmet, just dark clothes and boots. The aliens had offered him defensive equipment and he had refused it. Across the arena, 3 warriors prepared themselves. There was a Vrexian shock trooper with mechanical enhancements on his shell. There was a Kelrath enforcer with tentacles equipped with neural disruptors that could paralyze most species. And there was a Thorn sentinel, a bear-like species from a high-gravity world. The Thorn's muscles looked like coiled steel cables. "The human has no armor," the Kelrath Prime speaker observed. "Is this—" No one in the observation gallery moved. They all stared down at the training arena where Marcus stood, calm and barely winded. The 3 alien warriors lay scattered across the floor, unconscious or injured. Medical teams rushed into the arena from side doors. The crystalline beings finally made a sound like breaking glass. "Medical teams, attend to the warriors immediately." Ambassador Vrex had not moved since Marcus defeated the 3rd warrior. His shell had gone pale again, lighter than anyone had ever seen it. When he finally spoke, his voice was so quiet the translator had to boost the volume. 23 seconds. Against 3 trained warriors. He did not use any weapons. He barely seemed to be trying. "Lieutenant Webb is good at his job," Amanda said. She kept her voice neutral, professional. "But he is not exceptional by human military standards. He is not even in our top level of special forces. He is just a well-trained soldier from a Deathworld." She turned to look at all the aliens watching from the gallery. "This is what we are offering to teach. Not just how to fight, but how to think. The ability to watch multiple threats at the same time. The skill to turn an opponent's strength into a weakness. The willingness to take risks when necessary. These are things that every human child learns in some form, because on Earth you learn to fight or you do not survive." Medical personnel moved around the arena, checking the 3 warriors. They loaded each one onto a floating stretcher. The Thorn was waking up, looking confused. The Vrexian held his broken mechanical limb carefully. The Kelrath was still unconscious, but breathing normally. Marcus came up from the arena, escorted by medical staff who wanted to examine him despite his protests that he was fine. They checked him anyway and found nothing wrong. Not a bruise, not a scratch. "They will be okay," Marcus reported to Amanda. "I used controlled strikes only. The Thorn will have a bad headache. The Vrexian needs that mechanical limb repaired. The Kelrath just needs time to wake up. I only disrupted his nervous system temporarily." "You could have killed them," the Kelrath Prime speaker said. It was not a question. It was a statement of fact. "Yes," Marcus answered simply, "but we are not trying to kill anyone. We are trying to prepare you for a universe that might not stay as peaceful as it has been. Because Earth is not the only death world out there. And if humanity, with all our violence and our history of war, can eventually choose peace, then we can help you be ready for whatever chooses war." The observation gallery was quiet for a moment. Then a junior Kelrath delegate stood up. "The Prime Speaker has given me permission to share something. Our enforcer, the one who faced Lieutenant Webb, has already woken up. He has requested permission to train under human instructors. He says, I am quoting his exact words, I thought I understood combat. I was playing children's games. The human showed me what real fighting looks like." Surprised sounds filled the gallery. The Kelrath were the warrior culture of the Council. They took pride in their combat abilities. For one of their best enforcers to admit that a human was better was something no one expected. A Thorn delegate stood up. He was even bigger than the Sentinel who had fought Marcus. "The Sentinel who faced the human has recovered consciousness. He asked me to deliver a message." The Thorn's voice was like distant thunder. He says, "I have trained for 20 cycles. I have fought in 3 border conflicts. I have won 17 tournaments. And in 7 seconds, a human half my size taught me that I know nothing about real combat. I wish to learn from him." The Thorn delegate looked directly at Marcus. "My people come from a high-gravity world. We take pride in our physical strength. But strength without knowledge is just muscle. The human showed us the difference. We support the human proposal." Amanda felt a small surge of hope. Maybe this would work after all. Ambassador Vrex stood up slowly. All 4 of his arms moved in a gesture that his species used to show respect. "I owe humanity an apology," he said. "I made judgments based on incomplete information. I saw your world's beauty and assumed it was safe. I saw your short time in space and assumed you were inexperienced and naive. He gestured down at the arena where the 3 warriors had been. Your lieutenant defeated 3 of our best warriors, in seconds without using weapons and without causing permanent harm. That requires more than just skill. That requires control. That requires knowing when not to kill. That is the mark of a true warrior. Vrex lowered his arms. My species has never faced a real predator. We evolved in an environment of safety and abundance. We developed intelligence and civilization without the constant pressure that shaped humanity. This makes us vulnerable. If the threats you describe are real, and I now believe they are, then we are not prepared. Other delegates began to stand and speak. A small furry creature from a cold world said, "We thought we were safe because we have been at peace for so long. But peace is not the same as safety. The humans understand this. We should learn from them." An aquatic species added, "Our warriors train in simulated combat." But simulation is not reality. The human fought like his life depended on it, even though it was just a test. That intensity, that focus, is something we have lost in our centuries of peace. The crystalline beings chimed in agreement. We have vast knowledge stored in our collective memory. We have records of thousands of years of galactic history. But knowledge is not the same as experience. The humans have experience with violence, with danger, with survival. This is valuable. Amanda watched as more and more delegates voiced their support. The mood in the gallery had completely changed. Where there had been laughter and dismissal, now there was respect. Where there had been skepticism, now there was interest. A young Vrexian, smaller than Ambassador Vrex, raised one arm tentatively. "I have a question for Lieutenant Webb, if I may ask it." Marcus nodded. "Go ahead." "You moved in ways that seemed impossible for your body structure. How did you bend your spine at that angle when you dodged the Kelrath's tentacles? How did you climb the thorn so quickly? How did you react so fast to 3 opponents attacking from different directions?" Marcus thought for a moment before answering. "The spine movement is from flexibility training. Humans can train our bodies to move in ways that seem impossible. The climbing was just using available surfaces and leverage. As for reacting to 3 opponents, that is about situational awareness. On Earth, predators often work in groups. Humans evolved to track multiple threats simultaneously because we had to." He paused. "But there is something else. Something harder to explain. When I stepped into that arena, I was not thinking about winning or losing. I was not worried about getting hurt. I was just focused on the immediate problem. 3 opponents with different abilities attacking from different angles. My training took over. My body knew what to do." "This is the adrenaline response you mentioned?" another alien asked. "Partially," Amanda answered. "But it is more than that. It is about being completely present in the moment. No fear, no hesitation, just action. Earth taught us to be like this. When a lion charges at you, you do not have time to think. You just react. Millions of years of evolution built that into us." Marcus nodded. "Every human has this ability to some degree. Most never need to use it. But it is always there, waiting. In a crisis, a normal human who has never fought can become surprisingly dangerous. It is our survival instinct." The Kelrath Prime speaker's tentacles moved in what might have been respect. "This is what you want to teach, not just techniques, but this mindset." "Yes," Amanda confirmed. "Techniques are important. You need to know how to strike effectively, how to defend yourself, how to use your body's natural weapons, but the mindset is more important. The willingness to do whatever is necessary to survive. The ability to stay calm under pressure. The knowledge that you can push through pain and fear and exhaustion." She looked around at all the assembled aliens. "We are not trying to turn you into humans. Each species has their own strengths and weaknesses. But we can teach you to think like survivors. We can teach you to recognize danger before it becomes deadly. We can teach you to fight smart instead of just fighting hard." Ambassador Vrex made a clicking sound that was their equivalent of a thoughtful hum. "I have another question. Lieutenant Webb said he is not exceptional by human standards. How much better are your elite forces?" Marcus and Amanda exchanged a glance. Marcus spoke carefully. Captain Lisa Grant, Naval Special Warfare. She has completed 3 deep space rescue missions in hostile environments. She can hold her breath underwater for 6 minutes. She can navigate using only the stars. She once performed surgery on herself to remove metal fragments from her own body. She is one of approximately 2,000 operators at that skill level. The color drained from Vrex's shell again. 2,000? Earth has 8 billion people, Amanda said softly. You can do the math. Vrex's mandibles clicked nervously. You are saying your entire species is potentially warriors? No, Amanda corrected him quickly. Most humans are farmers, teachers, artists, scientists, engineers, parents. They want nothing to do with violence. They spend their lives creating and building and caring for others. But every human carries the genetic memory of surviving Earth. In a true crisis, that farmer or teacher or artist can become dangerous. Because on Earth, survival is the first priority. Everything else comes second. She gathered her papers and data. 3 days passed after Marcus's demonstration in the training arena. During those 3 days, the Galactic Council building buzzed with conversation. Aliens from different species gathered in small groups talking about what they had seen. Some were excited, others were nervous, but no one was laughing anymore. Amanda spent those 3 days meeting with different delegates privately. She answered their questions, explained human training methods, and listened to their concerns. Some aliens were worried that humans would be too harsh as instructors. Others worried that their own people were not physically capable of learning human techniques. Amanda addressed each concern patiently. Marcus spent his time giving smaller demonstrations to interested parties. He showed Vrexian delegates how humans use leverage to overcome stronger opponents. He taught Kelrath enforcers about pressure points and nerve clusters. He explained to Thorn Sentinels how speed and precision can beat raw strength. Word spread quickly that the human was not just skilled, but also a good teacher. On the morning of the 3rd day, the Galactic Council reconvened. The atmosphere was completely different from 3 days earlier. Delegates entered the chamber quietly. They took their seats without the casual chatter that normally filled the space. Everyone knew this was an important moment. Amanda and Marcus sat in the human section. Amanda wore the same blue uniform, her hair tied back neatly. Marcus sat in his green military uniform, relaxed but alert. They had done everything they could. Now they had to wait for the council's decision. The crystalline beings, as the senior members of the council, called the session to order. Their chiming filled the chamber, clear and beautiful. We gather to decide on the human proposal for combat training facilities. Before we vote, several delegates have asked to speak. We will hear them now. Ambassador Vrex stood first. 3 days ago, I laughed at the human proposal. I called it foolish. I said humans lack the abilities necessary for combat instruction. He paused, his mandibles clicking softly. I was wrong. I apologize publicly to Representatives Price and Webb, and to all of humanity. He turned to face Amanda and Marcus directly. I made my judgment based on assumptions. I saw that Earth was beautiful and assumed it was safe. I saw that humans were new to space travel and assumed they were inexperienced. These assumptions were errors in logic that could have cost us valuable knowledge. Vrex gestured at the holographic display, which still showed Earth's classification. The evidence is clear. Earth is a Class 12 death world, one of only 4 such planets in known space. The species that evolved there, humanity, adapted to conditions that would kill most of us. They developed capabilities we lack. They learned lessons we have never needed to learn. Until now. He sat down, and a Thorn delegate stood up. This was not the same Thorn who had fought Marcus, but a different one, even larger and older. His fur was gray around the muzzle, indicating advanced age. I am Elder Karn, the Thorn said, his voice like rolling thunder. I have lived for 63 cycles. I have seen much in my time. I have watched our civilization grow comfortable in peace. This comfort has made us soft. He looked around the chamber. 3 days ago, one of our best sentinels, a warrior who had never lost a fight, was defeated in 7 seconds by a human half his size. This was not a lucky victory. It was not a trick. It was skill, training, and the mindset of a survivor from a death world. Elder Karn's eyes found Marcus. Our sentinel asked to train with the human. I approved this request. For the past 3 days, our sentinel has been learning from Lieutenant Webb. Yesterday, he told me something that I will share with you all. He said, I thought I was strong. I thought I was trained. But the humans showed me that I was just playing at being a warrior. Now I'm beginning to understand what real combat means. The elder sat down heavily. We support the human proposal. We need what they can teach us. A small Kelrath, younger than the prime speaker, stood up next. I am Scholar Bryn. I study galactic history and military conflicts. After the human demonstration, I reviewed our historical records. I have found something disturbing. The hologram changed to show a timeline. For the past 800 years, the Galactic Council has been at peace. No major conflicts. No wars between member species. We have come to believe this is normal. But it is not. The timeline expanded to show earlier periods. Before the current peaceful era, there were frequent conflicts. Border disputes, resource wars, territorial expansion. These conflicts were resolved through negotiation and compromise, but the threat of violence was always present. That threat kept species cautious and prepared. Scholar Bryn highlighted the recent 800 years. In this period of peace, we have gradually reduced our military capabilities. We have turned warriors into ceremonial guards. We have let our combat training become ritualized performance rather than practical skill. We have forgotten that peace is not the natural state of the universe. It is something that must be maintained. The young Kelrath turned to face the human delegation. Humanity has not had this luxury. They have been at war for most of their history. They have maintained their combat capabilities not by choice but by necessity. This makes them uniquely qualified to teach us what we have forgotten. More delegates stood to speak. Some shared concerns about costs and logistics. Others asked technical questions about training methods and facility design. But the overall tone was clear. Support for the human proposal was growing. Finally, the crystalline beings chimed for attention. We have heard many perspectives. Now we will hear from the humans one final time before we vote. Representative Price, please present your formal proposal. Amanda stood and walked to the center of the chamber. A new hologram appeared, showing detailed plans for the training facility. The Combat Readiness Initiative is designed with 3 primary goals. First, to provide practical combat training to Council security forces. Second, to teach survival skills applicable to dangerous environments. Third, to foster a defensive mindset that can help prevent conflicts through preparedness. She gestured at the facility design. The main training center will be located on Station 7, as originally proposed. It will include areas designed for different species' physical requirements. Low-gravity zones for species from small planets, high-temperature areas for heat-adapted species, aquatic sections for water-dwelling species. The facility will accommodate all council members. The hologram showed different training areas. We will teach multiple disciplines: hand-to-hand combat for close-quarters situations, tactical awareness for threat assessment, survival skills for hostile environments, team coordination for group operations, and perhaps most importantly, crisis management for high-stress situations. Marcus stood and joined Amanda at the center. The instructors will be human, at least initially. As students progress, we hope that skilled individuals from other species will become instructors themselves. The goal is not to create human warriors from other species. The goal is to help each species develop their own combat capabilities based on their unique strengths. For example, Marcus continued, Rexians have faster reaction times than humans. Kelrath have neural capabilities that allow for distributed awareness. Thorn have incredible strength. Crystalline beings can process information across networked consciousness. Each species has advantages. We will teach you how to recognize and use those advantages in combat situations. Amanda took over again. We also propose a scholarship program. Students from any council species can apply for training. There will be no cost to individual participants or their governments. Earth will cover the initial operational costs as our contribution to council security. After the first year, we can reassess the funding structure. She paused and looked around the chamber. Some of you are wondering why we are offering this. Why would Earth spend resources to train other species in combat? The answer is simple. We are part of this council now. Your security is our security. Your survival is our survival. And humans understand something that peaceful species sometimes forget. The best way to avoid violence is to be prepared for it. There is an old human saying, Marcus added. If you want peace, prepare for war. It sounds aggressive. It sounds militaristic. but it is practical wisdom. Predators, whether animal or intelligent, seek easy targets. A prepared, capable opponent is not an easy target. Sometimes the best way to avoid a fight is to make it clear that fighting you would be very costly. Amanda returned to her seat as the hologram continued to display information. The crystalline beings chimed again. "Thank you, Representative Price and Lieutenant Webb. The proposal is clear. We will now vote. The standard approval threshold is 75%. The chamber fell silent as delegates began to register their votes electronically. Amanda watched the display as the numbers climbed. 60%, 70%, 75%. The threshold was passed. 80%, 85%, 90%. When the voting ended, the final tally showed 97% approval. Only a handful of delegates had voted against the proposal, mostly from species whose religious or cultural beliefs prohibited violence in any form. Amanda understood and respected their posit. 6 months passed since the Galactic Council approved the Combat Readiness Training Facility. Amanda Price stood on the observation deck of Station 7, watching the final construction crews put finishing touches on the massive structure. The facility was enormous, spanning 3 levels of the station, and incorporating technology from a dozen different species. The main training hall stretched out below her, divided into specialized zones. There was a zero-gravity combat area for species that lived in space habitats, a water-filled section for aquatic species, high-temperature chambers for heat-loving aliens, low-gravity zones, standard gravity zones. Every environment that Council species might encounter was represented. Marcus Webb approached from behind, carrying data tablets and looking tired but satisfied. The last group of human instructors arrived this morning. That brings us to 45 total. We also have 12 alien assistant instructors who have completed the preliminary training program. 12 already? Amanda asked, impressed. I thought it would take longer to train instructors from other species. So did I, Marcus admitted. But some of them are progressing faster than expected. That Kelrath enforcer who I fought in the demonstration, his name is Vrix. He completed the basic instructor course in 4 months instead of 6. He is already teaching Kelrath students basic defensive techniques. Amanda nodded approvingly. What about student enrollment? Last I heard, we had over 2,000 applications for 500 spaces. 3,000 applications now, Marcus corrected. We have had to create a waiting list. The Vrexian government alone wants to send 200 students. The Thorn are sending entire squads of sentinels. Even species that initially voted against the proposal are now asking if they can send observers. We need to expand faster than planned, Amanda said, making notes on her tablet. Can we double the first class size? Marcus considered this. If we use the assistant instructors more actively, yes. The basic training program can handle 1,000 students if we run it in shifts. The advanced courses will still be limited to smaller groups. Down in the training hall, construction workers from several species moved equipment into place. Human workers in gray coveralls worked alongside Vrexian engineers and Kelrath technicians. It was a cooperative effort, just as the training program would be. How is the curriculum coming? Amanda asked. Almost finalized, Marcus replied. We have 4 skill levels: basic, intermediate, advanced, and specialist. Basic covers fundamental combat awareness, simple defensive techniques, and survival skills. Takes about 3 months. Intermediate adds weapons training, advanced tactics, and environmental adaptation. Another 3 months. Advanced is for students who show exceptional ability. That is 6 months of intensive training, and specialist tracks are for students who want to focus on specific areas like close combat, ranged weapons, or tactical command. He pulled up a schedule on his tablet. We are also adding cultural sensitivity training for human instructors. We need to make sure our people understand the physical and psychological differences between species. What works for a human student might not work for a crystalline being or a thorn. Good thinking, Amanda said. The last thing we need is an instructor pushing a student beyond their species' physical limits and causing an injury. A chiming sound interrupted them. One of the crystalline beings approached, their facets reflecting the station lights. Representative Price, Lieutenant Webb, I am Instructor Harmonic. I wanted to inform you that the first orientation session is ready to begin. We have 240 students present for the preliminary class. Thank you, Harmonic, Amanda said. We will be right there. They followed Harmonic through the corridors to a large auditorium. Inside, students from dozens of species waited nervously. There were young Vrexians, their shells still bright with youth, Kelrath enforcers in training, Thorn sentinels who dwarfed most of the other students, small furry creatures from cold worlds, reptilian species from desert planets, even a few crystalline beings, though combat training seemed contrary to their peaceful nature. Amanda took the stage while Marcus stood to the side. The room fell silent as she began to speak. Welcome to the Combat Readiness Training Facility. My name is Amanda Price, and I am the Human Diplomatic Liaison for this program. Standing beside me is Lieutenant Marcus Webb, Head of Combat Instruction. Over the next few months, you will learn skills that may save your lives and the lives of others. But before we begin, I want to be clear about what this program is and what it is not. She paused, making eye contact with students throughout the room. This is not a program designed to turn you into killers. This is not about glorifying violence or promoting aggression. This is about survival, about being prepared for situations we all hope will never happen, about having the skills and confidence to protect yourselves and others when necessary. Marcus stepped forward. Humans come from what is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. That classification exists because our planet is extremely dangerous. Everything on Earth, from the environment to the wildlife to the diseases, is trying to kill us. We evolved to survive in that environment. We developed capabilities that seem exceptional to other species, but to us, they are just normal. What we are offering to teach you, Amanda continued, is not how to be human. Each of your species has unique strengths and capabilities. What we want to teach you is the mindset of survival, how to assess danger quickly, how to react under pressure, how to use whatever advantages you have, how to keep going when things seem impossible. A young Vrexian raised one arm tentatively. Representative Price, I have a question. I read the reports from your demonstration 6 months ago. Lieutenant Webb defeated 3 warriors in 23 seconds. Will we learn to fight like that? Marcus answered. Some of you might, if you have the ability and dedication. But that is not the primary goal. What you saw in that demonstration was years of training and experience. You will not achieve that level in a few months. What you can achieve is competence. The ability to defend yourself, the knowledge of your own capabilities and limits, and most importantly, the confidence that comes from knowing you can handle dangerous situations. Another student spoke up, a Kelrath. What if we are not physically capable of human combat techniques? My species does not have the same skeletal structure or muscle composition. That is an excellent question, Amanda said, and it is why we are not teaching you to fight like humans. We are teaching you to fight like yourselves. Kelrath have neural capabilities that humans do not. You can coordinate attacks through chemical communication. You have tentacles that can strike from multiple angles simultaneously. The training will help you use those natural abilities more effectively. A Thorn student raised a massive paw. Elder Karn told us that strength alone is not enough, that we must learn technique and strategy. But Thorn have always relied on our strength. Why should we change? Marcus walked to the edge of the stage. Let me tell you about the first human martial arts. Thousands of years ago on Earth, there was a small human named Lee. He weighed about 60 kilograms. There were many humans much larger and stronger than him, but Lee developed a fighting style based on speed, precision, and using an opponent's strength against them. He could defeat opponents twice his size. The lesson is not that strength is bad, Marcus continued. Strength is valuable. But strength without skill can be beaten by skill without strength. And when you combine strength with skill, you become truly formidable. That is what we want to teach you, how to take your natural advantages and make them even better. Amanda took over again. You will all be challenged in this program. There will be days when you want to quit. Days when you think you cannot do what is being asked of you. That is normal. That is part of the process. Growth comes from pushing past your comfortable limits. But, she emphasized, we will never push you past your physical limits. Every species has different capabilities. What is easy for a Thorn might be impossible for a Vrexian and vice versa. Our instructors are trained to recognize these differences. You will be challenged, but you will not be harmed. Marcus gestured to a group of humans standing at the back of the auditorium. These are your instructors. 45 humans from Earth Defense Force trained in multiple combat disciplines. They are here to teach you, to guide you, and to keep you safe. They will be hard on you, because that is how humans learn, but they will also respect you and your abilities. He pointed to another group, aliens wearing instructor badges. These are assistant instructors from your own species. They have completed preliminary training and will help bridge the gap between human teaching methods and your species' learning styles. If you are having trouble understanding a human instructor, talk to your species' assistant instructor. Amanda smiled at the assembled students. This is going to be difficult, but it is also going to be rewarding. You are pioneers, the first generation of council members to receive this training. What you learn here you will take back to your worlds. You will teach others. You will help prepare the entire council for whatever challenges the future brings. We humans have a saying, Marcus added. The only easy day was yesterday. It means that every day brings new challenges, but those